Hello friends, my name is Ryan, and I'm going to tell you a story named Cursed Wedding Dress, a tale of betrayal and eternal haunting, which is a very amazing story, full of twists. So, let's start. It was a chilly evening in a small, quiet town nestled deep in the mountains. The sky was painted with shades of orange and purple as the sun dipped behind the distant peaks. The streets were empty, and the sound of the wind rustling through the trees was the only thing that could be heard. But there was a place where the air seemed heavier, thicker. This place was the old bridal shop at the end of Main Street, where rumors had swirled for decades about the cursed wedding dress that hung in the center of the store. A dress that, if worn, would bring nothing but sorrow and death to those who dared to walk down the aisle in it. The store, run by an elderly woman named Mrs. Caldwell, was always locked after dark, yet its door never seemed to be fully closed, as if something, or someone, was waiting inside. But the story that everyone whispered about, the story that made the townsfolk uneasy, began many years ago with a beautiful woman named Charlotte. Charlotte was known throughout the town for her beauty, her charm, and her kindness. She was the daughter of a wealthy family, set to marry the love of her life, Thomas. They had known each other since childhood, and their love was like something out of a fairy tale. The entire town eagerly awaited their wedding, for it was going to be the grandest event they had ever seen. But as fate would have it, something darker lurked beneath the surface of Charlotte's perfect life. It all started when Charlotte visited Mrs. Caldwell's bridal shop to choose the perfect dress for her wedding day. The moment she stepped into the shop, she felt a strange chill in the air. The old woman, with her piercing eyes and wrinkled skin, had a knowing smile as she led Charlotte to a beautiful gown hanging in the center of the room. It was an exquisite dress, made of fine silk with intricate lace and delicate beading. The gown seemed to shimmer in the dim light, almost as if it had a life of its own. Mrs. Caldwell spoke of the dress with reverence, saying it had been passed down through generations of brides in her family. But she warned Charlotte to be careful, for the dress had a history. Charlotte, though hesitant, was captivated by the dress and felt an undeniable connection to it. She decided it would be the one she would wear on her special day. Little did she know, that choice would seal her fate. As the wedding day drew closer, strange things began to happen. Charlotte's once happy and peaceful life began to unravel. She started to have vivid dreams of a woman in a wedding dress, crying out for help. The woman's face was never clear, but Charlotte could sense the deep sadness and torment in her voice. In the waking world, Charlotte would hear footsteps behind her when no one was there and feel cold hands brush against her skin at night. Her dreams grew darker, and so did her waking hours. She started to lose weight, her once vibrant complexion turning pale and lifeless. It was on the night before her wedding that everything took a terrifying turn. Charlotte, unable to sleep, wandered the house. She felt a pull toward the attic, where an old, dusty chest was kept. The chest had been in her family for generations, but no one ever spoke of it. Charlotte opened it, her heart racing, and found a letter, written by her great-grandmother, detailing the history of the cursed wedding dress. The letter revealed a dark secret: the dress had been worn by a woman who was betrayed by her fiancé. On the night before her wedding, he had left her for another woman, and in her heartbreak, she had taken her own life while still wearing the dress. It was said that her spirit had never rested, trapped in the fabric of the gown, cursing any woman who dared to wear it. Charlotte's blood ran cold as she realized the truth. She was already too late. The dress had claimed her, and there was no turning back. The day of her wedding arrived, but Charlotte was a shadow of the woman she had once been. Her fiancé, Thomas, was waiting at the altar, but he too began to sense something was wrong. As Charlotte walked down the aisle, the dress seemed to grow heavier with each step. Her heart pounded in her chest as she felt the cold grip of the woman's spirit tightening around her. She could hear the whispers in her ears, urging her to stop, but it was too late. The curse had already taken hold. As the ceremony progressed, a sudden gust of wind swept through the church, extinguishing the candles and plunging the room into darkness. The guests gasped in fear as a figure appeared at the back of the church, a woman in a wedding dress, her face hidden in shadow. Charlotte's scream echoed through the church as she turned to face the ghostly apparition, but before she could move, the figure lunged at her. The next thing anyone knew, Charlotte was gone. The dress, however, remained, abandoned at the altar, soaked in blood. The town was never the same after that day. People spoke of Charlotte's disappearance in hushed tones, and the old bridal shop was closed for good. Mrs. Caldwell vanished, and the shop was left to rot, its windows boarded up and its doors locked tight. But the legend of the cursed wedding dress lived on. Many years later, the shop reopened, and the dress was put on display once more. They say it's still there, waiting for the next bride foolish enough to try it on. Some say the dress has taken many lives since then, and that it will continue to do so, forever cursed by the betrayal and sorrow that lies within its fabric. As for Charlotte, no one knows what became of her. Some say she was claimed by the spirit of the woman who had died in the dress, while others believe she still walks the earth, cursed to wander forever, trapped in the eternal haunting of the dress. So, my friends, if you ever find yourself walking through the quiet streets of that small town, remember the tale of the cursed wedding dress. Be careful what you wish for some things are better left untouched, and some curses are too powerful to break. And with that, I leave you with this message: don't forget to subscribe to my channel, where more tales like this one await you. Thank you for listening, and remember, the next story could be even more chilling than this one. Stay tuned.